playing politics, bowing to cancel culture and the truth. Part of this is that I am not part of the political club. And you know what? I'm proud of it.
15,000 people dead in New York's nursing homes of COVID-19, 7 accusations of sexual harassment and assault. But New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is using cancel culture as his latest defense. With the wheels of impeachment now in motion, let's hear from New York's lawmakers, Republican Congresswoman Claudia Tenney and Nicole Malliotakis, and Congressman Tom Reed, along with Republican State Senator James Tedisco and Democratic Assemblyman Angelo Santa Barbara. Thank you all for joining us this morning. It's great to have you. So I'm going to start, Representative Malliotakis, we'll start with you. You heard in that introduction a statement from Cuomo where he's essentially blaming cancel culture. What do you make of that?
The idea that the governor is trying to say that he is a victim of cancel culture like Abraham Lincoln or Mr. Potato Head or Dr. Seuss is absolutely ridiculous, and it's an insult to the 15,000 individuals who perished in nursing homes because of his executive order and the families that want answers and are demanding justice. This is absolutely outrageous, and the governor should be ashamed of himself to actually say that instead of actually coming forward and apologizing and taking responsibility and resigning.
You know, Congresswoman Tenney, a lot of people are concerned, of course, about these sexual harassment allegations, these groping allegations that have come forward. But there is some disappointment that people feel, well, why wasn't Andrew Cuomo's involvement in these nursing home scandals, why was that on its own not enough for people to come forward and call for resignation? Where do you stand on the state of these two scandals?
It's ridiculous. I served in Albany with some of my colleagues there already. The biggest problem is the Albany media has refused to hold Governor Cuomo accountable. I called for his resignation way back in 2014 during the so-called Moreland Commission. I called it Moreland Gate. The governor has committed abuses of powers using taxpayer dollars, and now this tremendous disaster with the nursing home scandal, the cover-up. Remember, people in adult homes have also been abused by this scandal and also put in with COVID-positive patients, and they've been injured with no voice to protect them as well. So it's the Albany media has done nothing, and now it takes something like a sexual harassment claim, which, by the way, he's entitled to due process. Now these are looking like a sexual assault claim. But this is really important, and now it's finally getting coverage. Unfortunately, it's taken this issue to uncover 11 years of abuses of power by the government.
You know, Congressman Reed, you know, we've been trying to figure out in terms of Governor Cuomo's political future what that could potentially look like. His poll numbers have plummeted. You have politicians, you know, lawmakers, individuals, residents of New York on both sides of the aisle now calling for accountability. What does his political future look like?
Well, you know, I called 3 months ago and said to the public that Cuomo's days were numbered in Albany because exactly what we see here, his abuse of power, his governing by intimidation and abuse. And that has come to an end. There's new leadership coming to Albany, and I can tell you it's going to be about leading the great state of New York in a new direction by bringing people together, being proud to be a Republican, being proud to be a Democrat, and not intimidating people, but working together to bring Albany in New York into being the beacon of hope across the country.
Assemblyman Santa Barbara, you know, what about these excuses that Governor Cuomo has put out there? I mean, he said, I'm not part of the political club, essentially painting himself as like an anti-establishment person. I'm a man of the people. He's essentially placed the blame on everyone but himself. What do you make of that?
Well, this is exactly what this governor does. You know, he was born into politics. You know, he is the political club, and now he's saying he's the outsider. It's just simply ridiculous. It's not. Everybody knows Andrew Cuomo's history. The language that he's using at these press conferences shows a lack of awareness, a lack of reality. It's like he's having a battle with the press, but he's not really addressing the issues at hand. And it shows that he can't continue to lead our state with all the scandals around him. He can't effectively manage everything that's going on. And there's a number of investigations going on. He's using his time to make phone calls to try and find support. He's trying to discredit his accusers. He no doubt will use the state budget to try and further manipulate and control people in the state capitol, He has done it in the past where he's used that to leverage. And we see a pattern of behavior here that he's created a culture in Albany, at the state capitol, in the executive chamber, that makes him unfit for office.
Congresswoman Malliotakis, just final thoughts on this. The New York Post is now reporting that staffers have stopped showing up for work. What do you think? Are you surprised?
Well, I think a lot of people are leaving the administration or they're not coming to work. They are also probably telling him behind the scenes that it's time to go. He's in denial here, and he doesn't realize that, when everyone from the United States Senators, Gillibrand and Schumer, to bipartisan group of lawmakers from the state level and your New York delegation are all telling you it's time to go because of all these allegations, particularly the cover-up of a nursing home scandal that led to all these deaths. It is time to go. And people who want to join their voice, sign their names, enoughcuomo.com, because he needs to hear from New Yorkers.
Yeah. State Senator Tedisco, what do you say to people of New York who are concerned still that there may not be proper accountability on the part of Governor Cuomo and his team when it comes to what happened in nursing homes in particular, and that there won't be due diligence on an investigation with these harassment and now assault claims?
Well, we're certainly not finished yet with our investigations. We have the AG investigating. We have the investigation down in New York City by the FBI and by the U.S. attorneys. I have my own bill for an outside, independent, bipartisan investigation with Assemblyman Santa Barbara and Assemblyman Ron Kim. They're in the majority in the New York State Assembly. We're going through an impeachment process now in the New York State Assembly. I mean, this is a governor who got an Emmy for his communication skills and I guess for his acting. He will never get an Emmy for transparency, openness, and honesty. He's involved in cover-ups, lying, distortion. And if anybody wants to know if an Emmy can tarnish, all you've got to do is look at the mantle in the governor's office right now, because it's severely tarnished. And we know what he did. He hid those numbers. 15,000 of our most vulnerable population died. And his executive order on March 25th had a tremendous amount to do with it. Why did he cover up? We know. He was embarrassed. The numbers weren't 6,000. They were 15,000. He wants to keep his reputation. And we know what the New York Times did. They pointed out he was writing a book. It didn't fit his narrative. And if something doesn't fit his narrative, he makes it fit his narrative, no matter if lives are being lost or not. And he came out with a book which is not worth very much right now. And as you know, the publishers are not promoting it right now. But we haven't given up. We've been there with my conference and our Republicans from the beginning. For months, we've been calling for a full investigation. We were some of the first individuals to call for resignation and impeachment. And this is a huge distraction. We've got a $180 billion budget we've got to complete. We don't only have to vanquish this terrible COVID virus. We have to turn the economy around in New York State, because we're fast becoming not the Empire State, but the empty state in New York. They're leaving in droves.
Well, we are deeply grateful to all of you for joining us this morning. Nicole Malliotakis, Claudia Tenney, Tom Reed, Angelo Santa Barbara, and James Tedisco. We appreciate you being here. The good news is that there is bipartisan interest in accountability here, and that makes all the people who suffered at the hands of these horrific nursing home policies feel a little bit better that they may get some closure as an endgame. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.